get my masters in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tell Jack to go and fetch your bang. Try that and upstate board's a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my masters in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. College, but college done up me. Couldn't get my masters in truth and loyalty.
What's up? What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to this week's episode of the Kagan Report. I will be your host, Scott. It's Victory Tuesday. We get to celebrate as a fan base, as of the Bills Mafia. Cheers to everyone out there having a drink tonight. What a victory. Heart attack as always, but the Bills pull it off. Playoffs are looking prettier and prettier as we go. We're going to do our thing. We're going to talk three up, down on the Bills offense and defense for this game. And we're also going to talk about the next game coming up, give our keys to success. So let me hit this intro and we'll see you guys in just a minute.
Hey Bills Mafia, you're watching 24/7 Buff Fandemonium's The K-Gum Report, part of the Buffalo Fan Base Network and sponsored by 26 Shirts.
As I promised, we'd be right back. And you see someone at the bottom of this this crew right here. We have our special guest today, former Buffalo Bills wide receiver, 90s great, played with all our favorites. It's become one of our favorites for sure. Friend of ours, friend of the show. I think this is your fourth episode there, Brad.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Well, we welcome you. We always enjoy your insight and your conversation. A family guy just like we are, so we love every minute of it. Tell everybody about how your holidays went there, Brad.
Holidays were good. Family time, which we always love to be able to have everybody together. You know, all six of my kids, 5 of my grandbabies. My wife's mom and dad was able to be here as well, and so we had a big party, and we've got 2 more grandbabies on the way. 1 in February and 1 in June, I believe. So that'll give me a total of 7.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
I feel like
Go ahead, Jared.
every time we have Brad on, he's either one has arrived or he tells us that there's another one coming. So congratulations, Grandpa and Grandma. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Our grandmother, she had 9 herself, and with our recent one, we just had one 3 months ago, Connor. We go over there. She doesn't travel all that well. She's 96 now, right, Jared, or something like that. 93. But she keeps a list. She says all their names before bedtime in her prayer, which is a ton. And I think she's up to 90 that she has passed down. So 90 kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and I think she's got a great. That's pretty awesome.
Wow.
You're on your way, Brad.
She told me that she gets halfway through and then she falls asleep. It's like counting sheep.
Yep.
So I tell her, so I asked her, are there some grandkids and kids that you don't get? And she's like, yep, there are some that I don't get to, but I start at the end the next night and work my way back. And I was like,
there you go. Well, as her 2 favorites, Jared and I were probably the first ones she mentions. No, I'm just kidding. Jared, he's welcome, buddy. What's up?
Yeah. these Tuesdays are a lot better after a Buffalo Bills win, I tell you what. And we had the opportunity to have a watch party at Dirty Jackson Phelps, New York. We had a hell of a turnout, great show. The kids were upstairs playing, and when every time they heard us cheering, they'd come down and peek through, and they'd be cheering with us. Sometimes they had some choice words that Uncle Corey taught them, but they would come down nevertheless. And it was a great time. Like you said, Scott, heart attack time. They came back and they busted, man, I tell you what. And we had this discussion earlier, Brad. Swank likes blowouts. I think, Scott, you like blowouts or close games?
I like blowouts, but I hate close games until the end of it when we pulled it off.
All right. And I like close games as long as we have the lead the whole time and they're chasing us. We're not chasing them. Right. Brad, when you're sitting down on Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, what do you like? You like the blowouts or the close ones?
I like to have a good game, but I don't like being, like you said, I don't like being behind and worrying about having to come back and win the game. You know, I don't mind it being close again, as long as we're in front.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those situations where at the end of the game, if you pull off that close one, you look at your buddies, you give everybody a high five. Yeah, that was an awesome game. But were we really having that much fun up until the last minute there? Be honest with yourself.
Last 8 minutes we were.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the K-Gun Report every Tuesday, 8:30. We are part of the Buff Fan Base Network, the official Bills Mafia. They're a big known social media platform on X, over 180,000 following strong. If you haven't, check them out. In doing so, we are also part of 26 Shirts, presented and sponsored by 26 Shirts. If you haven't got any merch from them yet, hit up 26shirts.com. You purchase a piece of merchandise, which they have something different every week. That money gets donated to a Western New York family. It's a win-win-win-win-win. And I encourage everyone, when you do buy a shirt from there, scroll down to the bottom. It gives the story of the family that you're helping out. So it means a little bit more. So 26shirts.com, couldn't be happier to be sponsored by those guys. Heck yeah. We like to hit up the comments right off the get before we get started. Start thinking about your 3 ups and 3 downs, guys. So, there's 3 of us, so we'll each give an up for offense, a down for the offense, and so on and so forth for the defense and special teams. Right off the bat, we have Shane Becker saying, "Go Bills." What's up, Shane?
Hey.
Our buddy Josh Cook. What's up, everybody?
Hey, Josh.
Alan Larch. Yo, everyone. Let's celebrate the Bills win versus the Bengals and get set for next week versus the Pats. Wow, man. Who'd have thunk that the Pats... Brad, do you think this is a dynasty starter for the Pats?
Well, it's really interesting because I've got a little bit of a take on Drake May. You know, his mom and dad was my next door neighbors for a long time. Great people, man. Just salt of the earth, friendly as can be. Just, so I have to root for him because he's a good kid. I think he's got his head on straight. Kind of reminds me of Josh in Buffalo, kind of him in New England, kind of taking on that persona of being just that football player. So I can root for him, but just not when he's playing the Bills.
All right. Yep, I'm a fan of his too. I'm the same exact way, Brad. Doug Augie says, "Welcome back, Brad." Doug just actually had knee surgery, so hope you're recovering well, Doug.
How you doing, Doug?
Charlie Birch looks like a new name on Facebook. Superman saved the day again. Welcome to the show, Charlie. Anyone that's new to the show or Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and YouTube, subscribe definitely on YouTube. We're growing there big time. Superman saved the cape, Brad. I get caught up every once in a while when it's 3rd and long, yelling, "Put the cape on, Josh! Put the cape on!" Lori says, "Oh, hey, it's Brad. Hello."
Hello.
She said, "I hope Xander's well." How is Xander doing?
Oh, he's doing great. He's actually in town right now for the holidays, so I get to spend a little time with him and getting him geared up for next year. So, he a little bit of word now. I mean, he finally got a date last week, so I'm not sure if he's finally, maybe found somebody he wants to hang out with for a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, hanging out. That's the first part. You got to hang out. You got to like them, and then go from there.
That's it.
Give it a couple weeks before it's Dad, Ma, can she come to Christmas?
Yeah.
You just went on your first date. Pump the brakes. Jimmy Graham, what's up? He's good from Alabama. What's up, Jim? Jim's one of the OGs. Dog. He's been following us for a while. This is Sparta. What's up, boys? And Mr. Brad, Buffalo Spartan joins us as he always does. And I'd be remiss to mention their show. They have the BWO show. That's a knockoff of the NWO, the wrestling, because they cover a little bit of both. Buffalo World Order, they go live on Wednesdays at 8. hit him up. Corey, what? 24/7. Sorry we are late. BWO in the house, as I just said. How are you, Mr. Lamb? It's from Corey.
Doing good.
And Corey said, fun hanging out with the Reed boys this weekend. Love y'all. Yes, Corey came out to, there's a bar here in Phelps, New York, Brad, called Dirty Jack's. One of our friends owns it. And they also own Otis and Lisa's, which is right next door. So you get the bar experience at Dirty Jack's, and you get the Otis and Lisa's, which second, I think, in Finger Lakes for pizza and first in wings. So they have really good food there. We had a watch party this past week.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Oh, yeah. It was really good. And they named a wing after us, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the fan.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's how you can tell you made it, Brad. That's how you can tell you made it.
That's right.
Anybody has any comments for Brad? Throw them out there. I got a couple questions for you before we get started. And it's one of those things that it's an identity question. In your perspective, I know James Cook's having a heck of a season running the ball. Josh Allen is doing Josh things, but our wide receiver core is kind of depleted all over the place. I don't think we've had the same 5 play in 3 games yet. What is your take on the identity of the Buffalo Bills offense? If they have one, yay. Do they need one? What's your take on that, Brad?
Well, I mean, the identity obviously is just Josh Allen, and that just because that's the way the media and everybody portrays it. And but at the same time, even though Josh is Josh, and he reminds me, it truly is like Superman. But it still takes 11 guys to block. Still, whether those receivers are blocking downfield, which Shavers I think is fantastic in that regard. I mean, I have nothing but high praise for him, the way he's worked himself into that lineup. And, he just gives it, to me, just gives it his all the time. But I do, I'm also in that category that, we need a premier receiver out there. It seems like, if you look T Higgins, Jamar Chase, if Allen had those two out there, I think Joe Burrow's a great quarterback, but how do you not be a great quarterback with 2 receivers like that out there on the field all the time? Not taking anything away from Joe Burrow, because I think he's a great quarterback, but I'm just saying, what would Josh do if he had those kind of weapons as well? They're doing what they got to do to win. I mean, and again, I'm a firm believer that it's not necessarily all about the best talent. It's how do the guys work together on the field on a given Sunday, and as a team. And if you can get that mojo, and it seems like I'm hoping it's building to where we're coming into our best time of the year now. Sometimes I think we've peaked a little early during the years. I don't think we've even got there yet. I think we are still finding our way a little bit, but as I'm sure we'll get into it in this tonight, but there's a lot of positive things I'm seeing. But part of our biggest concern has been health. I mean, keep being able to keep everybody healthy and everybody out there at the same time. People that are, I don't think people realize, it's hard when you institute new players, even though you've practiced with them, they're not getting the practice time you get with your starters, and they do things just a little bit different, and you got to get the feel for them, understanding how they're going to do certain things in certain situations, and building that camaraderie takes time sometimes. So I think that's hurt us a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Getting the repetitions with everybody runs a pattern different. Everybody has their timing different, even blocking. So yeah, just that time together. The injuries suck. That part of it sucks. Jared, what's your take on the identity of that offense right now?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. When you're heading in the playoffs, it looks like the divisions are probably set unless a miracle happens with the Patriots. But we're going to be traveling in the playoffs for a little bit, and the prime time to have your defense firing on all cylinders and a run game firing on all cylinders. That's what you want to bring to the playoffs, and I think the Bills have that. Our identity is, I think, this year is James Cook in the run game, and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson and Josh Allen. Josh Allen played Josh Allen football this past weekend. I don't think we've seen it in a little bit like he did this weekend. So I think that's coming back too. So I think, like Brad said, it's starting to click now. Let's see if everything can pull together as one. On that injury note, there was an interview with Kincaid. Kincaid has been they asked him how he was feeling after this game, and he says he has no qualms or no backlash. So he seems to be good to go next week too. So hopefully he's over that injury right now. So I think he's a big part, Kincaid. So
there you go. And you guys both talk about injuries. It's not just the injuries that are keeping you off the field. It's the injuries that you're playing with on the field that also hamper some things. We got some guests here asking some questions. Hold on. Here's one. Doug Augie asked, "Hey, Brad, did you do anything special to catch the ball in snow games?"
The best thing, my advice is as far as a receiver, is you got to figure out how to keep your hands warm.
Yeah.
The ball is like an ice cube when it's being thrown. It's just a lot harder. It's a lot slicker. That's why you see the guys catch some of them a little bit more with their body, or their hands are closer together when the ball's coming into them, because it's just so much easier to split the hands in that cold weather. And as hard as it's like a rock just hitting you. So, there's a few things that you do there, on the side. Back in my day, I don't know if they still have them on there, but you had the seats that they blew heat through, and then they had little slots on the sides where you put your hands back in, and your feet could kind of dip back in the back. So, I'd always at halftime, not halftime, but on the sidelines, would put my hands in there trying to get them warm, trying to keep some hand warmers. That's why you see the hand warmers a lot. You don't see them as much now as back. I guess I'm old, but those nice round fuzzy things that people would spin around the receivers. And Don Beebe wore one quite a bit. You remember, that you'd put your hands in, but it's mainly just to try to keep those fingertips and those fingers, some circulation and warmth. And that's, to me, that's the biggest key.
Well, Brad, now they have those warmers sewn right into the jerseys.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, right.
Have them sewn in the jersey in the side with a pocket that goes down.
Into the pants too, don't they?
Yeah, you know where the warm spot is.
There's an electrical line that goes from the feet. So when you're running, it creates heat and comes. No, that's nuts.
But regardless if your hands are warm or not, Brad, like you said, that ball's still cold and hot. So or cold and a rock coming at you. So
yeah.
Can you imagine Josh Allen? Jim Kelly had I call them piss missiles, pardon my language, but those two guys can throw the ball. So that's a rock traveling at 70 miles an hour. Ellen Lartz asks, just wondering what your favorite memory from your time with the Bills was.
Man, there's a bunch. Probably one of the best memories I have is being, and I think I've even said it before, was being out on the field when James Lofton broke the receiving record, and being able to be a part of that on the field when he actually broke that record. Obviously, the Super Bowls, being in the Super Bowls was, that was top of the list as well. But, one of my favorites is just being able to share that moment with James Lofton and achieving that record.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yep. That camaraderie that you guys had was amazing. And for sure, you see a teammate that you guys are such a well-blended mesh of a group of guys that when someone succeeds, it's almost feeling like it's part of you that's succeeding as well, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Sure. You feel a part of it.
Yep. All right, we got that. We got those. I got one follow-up question, and then we'll get the 3 up and downs. It's basically going off the previous question I had about the identity. Other than injuries, as an offensive guy, Brad, what is one thing you would change on this offense to maybe put us over the edge?
I think we've seen, and again, we talk about injuries being an issue, but with the way our receiving core, we got to, like we did this past game against the Bengals, integrate the tight ends more. And James Cook out of the backfield. To me, those two things right there, I've said it all along. I didn't understand why in the world, why we're not using him in the pass game more. He's such a great runner, especially you get him out in open space like that. Those two things, I think we integrate getting those tight ends involved more and getting James Cook involved more in the passing game.
Very cool.
Yeah. They started doing that the last 2 weeks, and look at they got 2 wins under the belt now. But yeah, they started integrating Ty Johnson, especially, and James Cook out of the backfield. And it's like, what have you been waiting for? And now that Dawson Knox and Kincaid are on fire, and Hawes is even catching the ball. Those are 5 guys, 6 guys right there that just with that one statement, they're getting them involved.
Well, if you think about New England and Tom Brady when he went through a bunch of different receivers, outsiders. What was it? One of the constants. It was his tight end. Gronk, and I think we kind of in that we've got to really institute that a lot more, and again get Cook out of that backfield because he's a monster. I don't know what he's averaging catching the ball out of the backfield, but it's got to be a pretty good per yard per catch.
Get on it, Jared. No, I agree. I love the people that said, yeah, Brady did it without wide receivers. But how do you forget about Gronk? How do you forget a guy like that? And LG Crumpler, I think, was there too for a little bit. So yeah, he didn't have
Hernandez,
the best
Aaron
receivers.
Hernandez. People don't talk about him much. He was a big one.
Well, what
Randy
else did
Moss,
he do?
Randy Moss was there. Wes Welker was there. Edelman was there. So what receivers are they talking that are not top receivers?
Exactly. And like Brad said, he definitely used those 3 running backs that he had throughout his tenure there out of the backfield. Second 5, second 4 make a heck of a difference when you're play calling for sure. All right, Jared, do you have any questions? As a host, I had to have a couple prepared just in case. You got any questions for Brad?
Brad, the Colts have just brought back Phillip Rivers on the practice squad. The old man, I say old, 44, hasn't played since 2020. What playing conditions
is he thinking?
What is he thinking?
Well, I'm my thought process is this: it'll be really interesting if he ever comes off the practice squad and actually gets elevated to the active roster. I look at Aaron Rodgers, and his age, and think about he's not taking that time off.
Right.
And he's still a great quarterback, but you can just tell he's lost some. I mean, it's just a fact. So with Phillip Rivers not being in the game that long, I think it's going to take him a while to kind of get his legs back under him. Once he takes a few hits, once you've been out of the game at that age for several years, those hits, it takes a while to get accustomed to that. And I'm not real sure about that move, to be honest with you. I know they're reaching for straws because they're in a bad place, and they were in such a great place. And I hate seeing that injury for them because I think that's a decent organization. I went to Anderson University in Indiana and followed the Colts when they had training camp there at Anderson and stuff. So I really hate it for them that they're going through that. But Phillip Rivers, I think that's just a long shot.
Yeah, when you're old and you get hit and you're like that. When you haven't been hit for 5 years and then you get hit, then you're like,
he's over 40. That lasts a little longer too.
Yeah. Well, what's the old Toby Keith song? I'm as good once as I ever was. He might take one hit, but after he gets that second hit, he might not be getting back up.
Hell, I'm 44. I sit Indian style play with my kids. I can't get up for about 3 hours afterwards.
Brad, James Cook, 29 catches on 31 targets for 9.2 yards per catch. That's pretty good coming out of backfield.
Almost averages a first down a catch.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, we'll get up to our 3 up, 3 down. Swank is not hosting. I am today. And Brad, I think Jared, we can take off the tops now. Swank has nice Goldilocks.
Oh.
We all matching? Do it, Scott.
No, we don't feel intimidated. I mean, come on, let's just do it. Come on, here we go. There we go. There we go. Yes, Swank's got that big beard with the Goldilocks. It's this beautiful thing. That's why we keep our hats on. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Let's do our 3 up, 3 down.
3 up, 3 down. Brought to you by the FLX Mafia. Bills fans in the Finger Lakes.
All right, Bills fans, 3 up, 3 down is pretty easy. We're going to give you, there's 3 of us. We're going to each give you a take on what we felt like was the up and coming, the reason why the Bills came out with the dubs on offense and defense and special teams. And we'll come up with a down for each one of those too. Jared, we'll start you off with an up offensively. Give us your go there, buddy.
My up is going to have to be Dawson Knox. We knew coming into this game that the Cincinnati Bengals defense was bad. We knew coming into this game that their coverage against tight ends was probably the worst in the league. Like I said, the tight end one, if you start them every week against the Bengals, it would give you 7th most receiving points in your fantasy football. So we knew that. The thing about knowing things like that sometimes is it comes back and haunts you often unless that position steps up and actually does what we think they're going to do. And Dawson Knox and Kincaid and Hawes actually did that. They played to the Bengals' weakness and they succeeded. What do you have? 94 receiving yards. I had the notes here, but he delivered when he was called upon. Dawson Knox stepped up, and I think the easy up. He delivered. He was supposed to do what he did, and he did it well, and they won the game. I love it.
There you go. I might as well make it easy for you, Jerry, and pull up the stats that I have here right for you. So, yep, there's an easy up. A lot of low-hanging fruit for you there, Brad. What's your up for this offense this week?
I'm going to, go into wide receiver mode and say, for me, it's the wide receivers blocking for our run game and sticking their heads in there in places that a lot of receivers sometimes don't like to go. But I thought they did, at least several of them, I thought did an excellent job in the blocking game. So I'm going to give a thumbs up to our receivers in the blocking and for the running game.
There you go. You're going to give me the long-hanging fruit with Josh Allen. I thought decision-making was pretty incredible. I thought him deciding not only where to pass the ball and some of the calling plays off and audibling it, I thought his decision to run was a lot quicker this week, a lot more decisive and obviously effective with that long run and all that stuff. But I want to point out a specific play for my up, which shows the – I think NFL players, quarterbacks especially, should know this, even wide receivers. When you're in the red zone and you go for it on 4th down and you're rolling out in the pocket, you don't take a sack. You don't throw the ball out of bounds. You put the ball in the air just in case someone can make a play on it. And I'm going to that Josh Allen roll and right Shakir play. I see a lot of people on social media saying that was a crazy play, meaning why would he do that? Why would he put that potential of an interception, all that stuff? The know-abouts of knowing that it's going to be a turnover anyways if he doesn't complete it. If it's an interception, it's going to be the ball at the 20, yada, yada, yada. I thought this was a brilliant play by Josh. It throwed a lot. Even though he's playing for 7 years, it showed a lot of growing up and a lot of very intelligent part of the football game. You watch that play, and it's pretty amazing. He put it – Brad, as a wide receiver, your quarterbacks are told, and so are wide receivers, the out pattern. If anything, you throw it out and away or low and away, so the wide receiver is the only one that can catch it, right?
Yep.
Slant patterns. If there's anything in the slant pattern, if it's tight coverage, low and inside, only put the ball where the wide receiver can make a play on it or nobody makes a play on it. Josh Allen saw that linebacker's head was turned and that Shakir's head was on the inside, and he threw it basically where only Shakir could get to it, and that linebacker couldn't. So not only was it a good play to get rid of the ball, but he put it in a place where only the wide receiver could make a play on it. And it was a beautiful play. That was my up. That was my holy shit, Josh Allen. I think we're riding your coattails now kind of moment. So that was my up. Sorry to go on a rant about it, but that was one of the most exciting plays of the year.
No, I'm going to jump on that piggyback because I don't know if there's another quarterback in the league that could make that throw. That's just me.
Yep.
That was so – it was amazing to watch him, the preciseness of where that ball went between the two defenders like that, just right in there where only he could catch. It was amazing.
Like I said, the know-abouts to know that the linebacker's head is turned and that you can whiz it right by him without him even knowing and put in a spot that only Shakir could get to it.
While you're being rushed, while you got people breathing down your neck.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're on the run doing all that stuff. Amazing play.
And
amazing
he did get roughed at the end of that play too.
Yep.
Right.
So he did get hit.
I don't think there's a lot of downs to talk about, but we'll go ahead and attack it. Brad, we'll lead with you. Anything from the offense this week that you could consider a down or something you would like to see maybe changed a little bit for next week?
I'm going to leave the James Cook low-hanging fruit out there, but with that fumble. But I think the thing that, again, concerns me was Keon Coleman and his route running. He just didn't look sure of himself out there. Maybe he hasn't played in a lot of the snow. I don't know. But, as a receiver, the biggest thing you got to do is make sure you got your balance in those inclement weathers and, make sure you can get in and out of your cuts. And it seemed like the DBs cut better than he did. And you just can't have that happen.
There was one play where he did a quick in, or actually it was a quick out and then an in, that the DB came up, and I heard Scott during when we were watching it say, you got to come back to that ball. Then it showed a replay, And the DB did make a good play, but Coleman's a big body. He should have came back to that a little bit, and which would have blocked the DB from even touching the ball. So that experience when the coverage is on him going up for the ball is good, but him making separation and getting that box out body position to protect the ball from DBs is horrible.
And he's a basketball player, and they gave him that little chip on the thing from day one. He's a basketball player, good sized guy, can go up and get it, can box out, and he's just not showing that he can do it right now.
Well, one thing I'll say too on his and giving him a little bit of benefit of the doubt too is taller receivers seem to have a little more issue than some of us shorter receivers with a lower center of gravity getting in and out of cuts. Even as great a game as Higgins, had for Cincinnati, he had trouble as well, but he was still making plays.
Yep. Those the more nimble guys can cut on a dime quicker than his bigger guys. Jared, what's your down?
I'll take what Brad said. James Cook holding the ball 2 occasions. That penalty that no one saw happen. All of a sudden the Bills are 1st and 16, going to the end zone. The only reason why they brought that back is because he fumbled out of bounds, but he did fumble. That same drive, they go down, they're about to score, and he fumbled the ball away to I think, was it cut into the lead or take the lead? Or anyway, when you're at the 2-yard line and you have the ball to go in on 1st down, you have to take advantage of it, and fumbling it away in the end zone is not good. James Cook's got to hold that. That's the down.
All right. You guys took some pretty obvious ones. Mine was early drive stalls. I would have liked to see that second half offense in the first half. But it is what it is. The adjustments were made. We came out and won the game, but the offense took a little while to get going. I'd like to be a little less predictable as far as Joe Brady goes. Maybe that's the issue. Teams are catching on quicker. But second half adjustments are good, but still we need to come out quicker, especially against these teams that are going to be in the playoffs. Because if they get a good jump on us and they have a good defense to stop, it's going to be hard coming back like we did for sure. All right. That's offensive up and downs. Let's see if the fans got anything to say. Yeah. Josh definitely stepped up again to another level. He did. Seems like every week there's something that a record that Josh Allen breaks. Alan Lart said tight end room was big ups. Down was Ty Johnson fall that cost Bill 7 points. Oh man. If that was going to be a tell of how this game was going, when Ty Johnson broke that long one in the first drive and stumbled on his own, it's like, oh, here we go. Someone's out there grabbing feet.
Yeah.
Different looks are good for opposing defenses. Not seeing that formation before. I think they're talking about the play. And Jim Graham says, you were right on about Dawson Knox being our X factor. I don't know if you saw the Sunday sessions, but we called out the tight ends to be successful, but Jared specifically said Dawson Knox was going to have a game, and he did score a touchdown, but it was taken back, but Dawson Knox showed up.
He got the 2-point conversion too.
There you go. Let's go ahead, and I'll scroll down to the defensive stats here to make it easy for everybody. We're going to go defensive ups. Jerry, we'll start with you.
Oh, Jordan Poyer again, making plays, big tackles. He had 8 total tackles. He came up and laid the lumber when he needed to. Nothing got over top of him. Jordan Poyer, old man coming back and playing. That's one of those guys that we were kind of nervous about at the beginning of the season, Brad. But he showed that his ability is still there. He might be a little slower, but the cognitive part of it is elite. And I think that's paying dividends and showing on the football field every Sunday. So Jordan Poyer, I think I gave it to him last week too. Jordan Poyer is playing great safety football right now.
I agree. And that was a position that we were all nervous about in the beginning of the season. Poyer wasn't there yet. Bishop is coming into a second year, and McDermott had some words about him. We drafted a couple safeties. It was one of those inconsistent positions that we were nervous about, and now it's one of the most reliable ones with Bishop and Poyer playing well. Brad, what do you got for a defensive down for this week?
Defensive down, I'd say our pass defense. Kind of shocked me that we allowed them to throw as much as they did against us. The third down, I almost cry every time an offense against us is 3rd and long. It's like, It seems like anytime they're 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, they always get a first down. And I don't know if it's because you would think we play more aggressive, but it's almost like we play more relaxed and off. I'm like, why do we not blitz more on those third and longs to get him to have to hit the hot read quick, where then we can catch the guy and where he doesn't get the first down. But, that drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. The stat was crazy in that first half about third down conversions. It was driving me nuts. And, we were at the bar, so there's a lot of people asking the same questions. What the heck we doing? What the heck we doing? It did seem like we were playing a very soft defense on third and down. We weren't aggressive. Third down, we weren't aggressive. So I'm piggybacking, Brad. That's my thing, was the third down for sure was horrendous in that first half. Burrow, I think his first 12 passes, he went 11 for 12.
Yeah.
He was converting all the third downs. It was going to be a long day.
Yeah.
And again, thank
Absolutely.
goodness for that, the adjustments that were made. But here's your game stats. I mean, time of possession was pretty even. A lot of first downs for both teams, good yards for both teams. It seemed like the out patterns, simple patterns.
Yeah.
The out pattern and the slant were being caught by Higgins and Chase and their crew guys there. It was just frustrating to watch them just march. But I feel bad for the Bengals sometimes because they have a really good team that just can't seem to get there.
Yeah. Well, I third down conversion. We've had issues with that all year, and that's what frustrates me. It's like we've got to tighten that up coming into these playoffs. I mean, I think our run defense has been, stepped up the last 2 weeks really, really nicely. And maybe Shaq's had a lot to do with that too, I think. But our third and long was just, man, I don't know. It's almost like we need to change our thought process there a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went 10 for 12 on third down, and they got 3 first downs off of penalties. So that's all defensive mistakes, and yeah, that's horrible to watch.
I bet the time of possession in the first half was way lopsided. I think we made up for that in the second half.
Yep. Doug Augie agrees. Third down defense was all the way down. Jim Graham, I'm glad he brought up this point. Shaq Thompson is our Hoyt, bringing that dog and nastiness. That is a breath of fresh air. Again, it was one of those players that the organization brought in from Carolina. I know there's a lot of Bills fans that are tired of seeing Carolina players come in, but I said it before. I love our linebackers, Bernardo Milano. Being 6 foot, 220 pounds really doesn't cut it all that great when you're against the run. And so I know it's only 10, 15 pounds more, but Shaq Thompson seems to be that linebacker that is helping significantly in this run game. And it doesn't, it sure helps to have Deion Walker, a rookie, starting to perform at a level of higher expectations. So,
Shaq seems to be in the right place at the right time all the time.
Yep.
Which means he's in the film room and he's studying and he knows, he's doing his homework, which is nice to see. So, yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise.
Yep, and a great leader. He I don't know if you know this, Brad. He stood up in front of the team before the last game, and he mentioned about the run defense and all that stuff. So they are. I talked about talking the talk and walking the walk. They're for sure are walking the walk. Real quick, guys, if you want to give me your ups and downs, we can cover it all together. It looks like for special teams, Prater hit his only field goal attempt, nailed all his extra points. Ty Johnson had a 23 average, and Ray Davis had a 21 average for kick returns, and punt return was Khalil Shakir. We didn't punt the ball at all, which is good. So you guys want to cover anything as far as that goes?
I think just not necessarily on a positive, I guess on a downside of it for me, it doesn't seem like we're blocking very well, or we didn't in that game anyway for our guys that were returning. So, it just seemed like you saw, and again, I'm getting limited views like everybody else just on the TV. I don't have a lot of the being able to be there watching it, but it just seemed like, what you could tell, it just couple people just missing blocks totally.
Mm-hmm.
And one in particular I remember, and it's like, man, if that guy would have just cut that block, we would have got another at least 20 yards on it, and that's big in games like that with weather like that extra 10, 15, 20 yards is huge.
Exactly. It is huge. And we also have a problem with penalties when it comes to special teams. So nothing stinks more when you get a good kick return, and next thing you know, our offense is starting at the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Good segment there. We're going to move on. We got 20 minutes. We're going to move on to this AFC East division rival matchup against the Patriots. They've got our number once already, guys. They've got our number once. As Mark always says Mark Maddox is on the show quite a bit, Brad. But you could probably understand that division games are division games. You could be 0-16 versus 16-0, and there's just something about those games that even out the play field, and it's always a competitive game. So we'll get into our offensive and defensive keys to success. I first want to mention we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network, and we are sponsored by 26 Shirts. Hit up 26shirts.com. Go get yourself some new merch before the end of the year, and help some families in need in Western New York. I like to pull up this real quick when it comes to talking about these teams. That way we know what the rosters look like. Again, they ran all over us the first time we played them. Drake May looked like a stud. The defense had our answer. We'll go offensive keys to success. What are Buffalo Bills? And add them in the comments, everyone. What do our Buffalo Bills have to do offensively against this defense to help come out with a dub? Jared, I'll start with you. Offensive key.
Yeah, the Patriots defense is ranked up there with third for defending the run, and 18th defending the pass. So I think you usually hear if you establish a run game, it's going to open up the pass game. I think that this week Allen's been clicking. Our tight ends are back and healthy. Like I said, we mentioned before, Brad, the running backs are getting hit on the on the drop out or dump offs coming out of the backfield when nothing's open. So I think the key to the game is going to be actually Allen's pass percentage and how efficient he is, because if he's dink dunking and throwing long balls and completing them, it's going to open up the run game as well. So the keys to success is going to be to expose this 18th ranked Patriots passing game. I know some of that might be due to other teams trying to catch up to him, but I think Allen is on a groove right now, and I think he's going to be able to take advantage and move the ball down the field and hopefully open up James Cook.
There you go, Brad. What does this offense have to do to kick the tires and light some fires?
I'm gonna take what you said, except you said it was with special teams. We got to not have penalties. Our offense can't put us back, second or first and 20 because we have, holding penalty on first down.
Yeah.
We got to eliminate those penalties and give us an even playing field. And I know they're a division opponent, but I still think that first game we played, nobody was expecting Drake May to play like he did first and foremost, and he's just coming into his own. So I think they'll be a little bit better prepared for him, knowing that's not a fluke, that this kid really can play football. And so I think that's going to help us in that regard. But on the bad note is he's a good football player,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I think for us, if we'll give Josh Allen, the time to throw the ball, and our offense will just keep those penalties down and not make stupid mistakes, I think we'll be fine.
There you go. I think Doug Augie likes to agree with us a lot on this show, and he's doing it. So don't turn the ball over 3 times. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
We need to stay on those key parts of the game, the penalties and the turnovers, be on the right side of that. I like the term staying ahead of the chains. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's not falling back with penalties. It's not having the third and longs and all that stuff. This defensive, Coach Vrabel, he's a defensive-minded guy. He's got these guys prepared, and his defense is always tough no matter where he's coaching. He's doing a hell of a job for the Patriots.
Coach.
Yep. So he's on top of it. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but you need to stay ahead of the chains. You can't have dumb penalties taking us back. We are going to a very vicious Foxborough Stadium, whatever the name of it is now. I'm surprised Brady doesn't own it yet. But it's very tough to play there, and the noise is going to be there. Those guys are going to bring it because this is the AFC East championship game for them. If they win it, it's almost a guarantee that it's a lock this week. So they're going to bring the noise. They're going to bring the pressure. The weather more than likely is not going to be very nice. Silent count, mind your P's and Q's, stay on top of on the plays. Don't fall behind with the penalties and the stupid tackles for losses. And that's how you're going to succeed as offense. And obviously the obvious stuff, the fumbles, the turnovers, we need to not do that. And hopefully Josh Allen's not playing hero ball.
Well, last game we lost 20-23, and Doug Augie brought that up. 3 turnovers. It was 3 turnovers to 1. What happens if there's not those extra 2 turnovers? It might have been a different outcome. So, like Brad said, whenever you play a New England team, especially when they're good, you have to minimize the penalties, and you got to hold on to the ball. And that might be the key of the game right there. Just simple.
Marv Levy always preached to our team, the turnover ratio. You win the turnover ratio, you win 90-something% of your games.
Yep.
People don't know I'm saying that, basically, if we turn the ball over 3 times, we need New England to turn it over 4. So, if you notice, that happened in that game against the Bengals where we had the turnovers early, but then we got those back.
Yep.
And if without those, we'd have lost that game.
Yep. When I look at stats, I look at who's making the tackles for your team. Obviously, it tells a lot. If your safeties are making the tackles, that means the second level's not doing their job. Linebackers aren't doing their job. Defensive line's not doing their job, and the safeties have to be heroes. The Patriots have linebackers that are making play. You see the stat line I'm putting up there. The top 5, 3 of the top 5 tacklers, guys, is their linebackers. So the silent number, the stat you don't see it out there is what that defensive line is doing to provide an opportunity for these linebackers to make plays. When you see all those LB tackles, you know that they're getting tackles for losses. You know that they are getting tackles before they reach that deep second level. That's Vrabel football. That's exactly how you win football games, and they've got the recipe. So, yeah, without being too cute offensively, Joe Brady, you got to be able to get 5 or 6 yards on first down to open up that playbook to the where these linebackers can't feel comfortable about stepping up and making tackles for losses. They got to respect that second level and even the tight ends coming across.
Yeah, and the top 3 out of 5 tacklers are linebackers. You're not even talking about Shazan, who is their leading sacker with 6.5, 7.5. And he's a linebacker too. So, yeah, linebackers are dangerous.
Let me see.
I just saw Dalton Kincaid had a big game last time they matched up against each other, 6 for 108. So tight ends probably exposing the linebackers a little bit. Kincaid being back will be huge because he will make those linebackers play honest football. So that's a good up.
Yeah.
Got to play honest football. Yeah, if we come out with these games and the safeties have all the tackles, that means we're probably doing pretty okay. Who'd I lead with offensive keys to success? Who was that, Jerry?
Yeah, probably me.
All right, Brad. What does our defense? I'll lead with you here, friend. What's our defense got to do to stop this fella right here, this Drake May, a heck of a rookie running back out of Ohio State, and a couple wide receivers that played for the Bills last year in Diggs and Hollins? What does our defense have to do?
Well, we got to get pressure on Drake May. I've been a little bit disappointed in Ruzio this year. I just don't feel like I thought he would be making a bigger step this year with his time there. It just seems like we're not, getting that pressure. And I know Bozo, being hurt, maybe he's going to be back. I think that'll help. But the run game, as far as our defense and stopping the run the last couple of weeks have been really good. If they stay that way, and then we can get some pressure on Drake May, that's what we're going to have to do.
I like it. You see there the stat. He's been sacked 40 times.
Yeah.
So he is taking some losses for a total of 178 yards, which is a lot. So it's rattle his cages. It's the sacks that count, right, guys? It's not the first down sack. It's the I call it the 4-point sacks. The ones that either take him out of field goal range or prevent him for a touchdown, they just get a field goal, or out of the scoring range altogether. Those third down sacks are more important. So 40 sacks, I think we need to get a couple of those added onto there. Jared, what's our defense got to do, my friend, my brother?
Yeah, the Bills had 4 sacks against them last time, which it's probably the most they've one of the highest end games that they had sacking the quarterback. But yeah, I think obviously between week 6 we faced them compared to now, our defense has changed a little bit and our offense has changed a little bit. So I know New England's schedule hasn't been the toughest these last 5 or 6 weeks, which might play a huge part in what this game brings forward because we've had some challenging games. I think the defense definitely needs to get after the quarterback, but the players who are clicking need to continue to click. I forgot Bosa was out this past game after a win. It's one of those things where he's a hell of a playmaker, but when you win and you have other people step up, it kind of you forget about him. But no, Benford's playing lights out. Harrison's getting more snaps. I don't think he played in that game against Diggs. So Harrison's matchup might be key against Diggs. And then, the linebacker play. Shaq Thompson didn't play much. We didn't have the two safeties back there who are teamed up right now playing. So our defense looks totally different. And I think they just need to continue what McDermott and Babich are doing now to be successful. Bend but don't break. Stop that run game. But definitely don't let Drake May get up to you. And I think we're able to cause pressure with our 4 guys up front. Sacked 40 times. That's a pretty good number. Maybe we get 4 or 5 more this weekend. That'd be awesome. Again, on those third down plays.
Boom. Like it. Alan Lart says tackle techniques needs to improve if the Bills want to win. Also, don't need to give the Pats huge gaps to run through. We need to put a body on a body and win the line of scrimmage. That's kind of taken my defensive key. I think we got tore up a little bit. I think Henderson did a great job against the Buffalo Bills. That offensive line did a good job against the Buffalo Bills the first time we met. So my big thing is stop the run early because you know that's what they're going to bring. With that being said, you got to be prepared. I know I'm going to hit all the things here, but you look at their offensive stats as far as receiving goes, and I'm looking at targets here, guys. Targets. Wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. So they're throwing to the receivers. They don't use the running backs a lot out of the backfield. So there's a lot of P's and Q's to mind here, but I think if you study film, you know where May has been efficient. He's a 71% completion percentage kind of guy, so he's been efficient. So if you can get those guys, and Jared, like you said, our safeties and corners are different than what happened last time we played them, and our run defense is a little different. So there's a lot more to adjust from a loss than there is from a win, because what do you do when you win? What do you change?
Right.
Defensively, or as a losing team, you can make a lot more changes and prepare a lot different for these games. So that's my thing. Stop the run early and make sure with our revamped defensive backfield that we are covering these receivers, and maybe we can bring Drake May down 4 or 5 times this week. For sure.
Well, if you think about it too, there was one receiver that lit us up time and time again in key moments in that game. And if we can't let Diggs get in this game and be a game changer because they feed off him too. And he obviously, had something to grind against us this last time, and we kind of let him do that. And I think we need to take that equation out of it as well, and that'll help us.
Stephon Diggs had 10 catches for 146 yards last game. Do you know who the next receiver was that the second most catches on that team was?
For that game?
Three.
Not much. I was going to say not much.
No.
And he hasn't done much since then either.
No. So, yes, a guy that you didn't want to break us, broke us. And I think once Drake May and Vrabel found a guy that was gashing us, they stuck with it. Because if you look at targets too, it was 13 targets. The next highest was 9. No, 4. So 12 and then 4. So
what got us was the Diggs yards after catch. I mean, he did this.
Yeah, it's like we couldn't do nothing with him. We made him look like he was, the Hall of Famer of all times. It was kind of frustrating.
Right, as a smaller, more nimble route running wide receiver, and Diggs is known for his route running, what is the best way? I mean, what kind of defense has frustrated you more? I know you're fast too, but what kind of defenses frustrated you most? Was it the press defense? Was it someone that gave you a 5-7 yard gap and reacted to your route running? How do you defend someone that's a good route runner?
I love when they played off with speed, man. That was key. I loved it when they were off and not pressing. When they pressed, then it just all depended on what kind of release you got off at the line. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Me, I'd play him a double. I'd play him press at the line and then have a guy behind that's picking up behind. So, don't let him have a free release, but also have help. Once he gets up the field. So I would kind of almost bracket him a little bit in that way. I don't think they've got another receiver that just absolutely could do the damage that he does. So I think you could put a little bit more, towards it, especially at the beginning of the game. Just make sure he doesn't, get off to a hot start, because he seems to feed off himself when that happens too. So if we can keep him limited and quiet the whole first half, then he'll be frustrated come second half, and maybe he'll cause problems instead of help. But I think that's what I would do if it was me. If it's a guy like that, I think he needs to get somebody that's good at press knock him off his route at the very beginning and get him getting off slow.
So, Brad, if you bracket like that, what does that expose defensively to the rest of the offense? I mean, what are you giving up if you're going to bracket?
Well, it depends on what kind of, if they're playing, a two deep, they're playing, one day. Well, it depends on what they're playing the back. You might leave your seam open for the tight end to crack down that seam. In that case, you're going to have your backers. You're not going to be blitzing on that,
Right.
Obviously. So you still got to be able to man that up. So it takes a little bit away from your pressure. So you take what you think your lumps are going to be for that game, and but I think that's the way I would start.
Yeah. Okay.
To keep him out, and then again, Harrison I don't think was even playing when we played him the first time.
Right.
And I think he's a pretty good bump guy, and he's quick enough to recover, and he's not playing against Higgins, who's 7 foot tall. So I think his makeup speed, it might be worth trying. Putting him wherever Diggs goes, he just follows him. I don't think Trey White can do it.
I was just going to say that, Brad. I was going to say, do you have Maxwell Hairston eyeballing him the whole time, following the whole time?
Yep. And if they got that faith, he's what we keep forgetting. I think about him is, man, how many games has he played as an NFL player? 6.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
6,
he missed the first 4. So he's still baby stepping into this thing right now. He's still got a lot to learn. And then you've got Diggs, who's a very veteran guy that knows how to get open. So you've got a little bit of the mismatch there. So it's really going to depend on McDermott and Babbage, how comfortable they feel, of his progression, whether or not they feel he could actually, handle him one-on-one, or at least to a certain point.
That'd be interesting to see who Stephon Diggs was lining up most against that last game, because now, Brad, you don't even I agree with you. I thought Maxwell Hairston being on him the whole game would be a big key, but I just remembered Christian Benford's over on the other side too. So is this a game where you see Maxwell Hairston playing more than Tre'Davious White, like 80-20%, instead of the less percentage than Trey White, where it doesn't matter where Stephon Diggs goes? He's either going to have Benford, who in the last 2 weeks has allowed 2 catches for like 3 yards, or
Right.
Maxwell Hairston, who's fast. So I think, like you said, he hasn't played in the last game, so this could be a total different scheme against Stephon Diggs, and maybe it's beneficial just to have those 2 CBs stay where they are, and wherever Diggs goes, okay, I got him now.
Well, I think that's a great point. And I don't mean this because I'm an old guy, but as Trey's getting older, the cold weather exposes that even more. It shows your speed or lack thereof a lot more. And I would think that Harrison would probably play more in this game. I know they like Trey to be out there because of his knowledge and because of that, but I think he's lost that step, and I think that hurts us in a lot of situations. I'd like to see Harrison be able to make that step in there, and maybe have Trey in there a little bit limited, be there for for his knowledge and to help along through that, and getting in there on different, maybe one out of the 3 plays, and Harrison being in there 2 of the 3, or whatever the case may be. But I think you made a good point though with Benford being on the other side. I mean, you're not losing much when Diggs goes to that side. You might be gaining a little bit by having him over there. But again, are they going to line Diggs up in the slot? Are they going to try to move him around some as well? So, because the one thing that we do have, I think, is our speed at our linebacking core may not be the best there ever was. So I think that hurts us a little bit. Milano, I think, good in the run stop, but I think he's slowing down as older he gets too. So, and then, some of the injuries we've had and people not being in there, we've kind of lost a little bit of that side to side, movement with those slot receivers. So, I think it's going to be a challenge for us. I think we're up for it. I think we're starting to play. If we can keep that momentum going into the playoffs now, I think we're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, we're going to be okay.
I think it's cool the amount of options that you guys just gave, because we are seeing a significant difference in our running defense. The front 4 has been playing a lot better. They are relying more on Daquan Jones and Deion Walker to stop the run. Will that, in fact, let us drop that middle linebacker to the deep zone so we can bracket the guys on the side? Will that allow us to play 3 deep so there's someone covering the sidelines and bracketing? Again, you never know, and it'd be interesting to see how the Buffalo Bills defense brings that all to the table. But if it's not working, we better see them halftime adjustments.
Yeah, or even before.
Yeah,
depending on how bad it is.
So this is kind of a reach. I'm going to throw this out there. Scott mentions that Cole Bishop and Rapp were kind of like the same type of safeties coming in this season. Rapp went out, Poyer stepped in. They complement each other more. They're not the same position. They have their different strengths, and that's why you see the success in the secondary there. Could that still be said the same for Terrell Bernard being injured, because he is a smaller linebacker, that because he's injured, now Shaq Thompson, who's a little bit bigger, is coming in. He's more of a plugger, and Milano, who can drift and still plug a little bit. Could that be something that was a beautiful thing in disguise? You know what I mean? Like that happened maybe. And if Terrell Bernard is healthy to come back, do you see Thompson still making a high presence in that linebacker spot?
I hope he does, because I do think that's been the key. Really think about what's really changed, other than, not other, but, our 2 big guys up front's been playing a lot better on that run game. But, when we're shooting the gaps on the outside, when they're doing those quick little tosses or, quick little screen passes or whatever, Shaq seems to be getting in there and getting those stops, where I wasn't necessarily, and it's hard. I've seen Bernard shoot those gaps too and get them in the back, but it just seemed like for whatever reason, maybe it is he's not as quite as large, and so if somebody does get a hand on him, they can knock that off quite a bit. But for whatever reason, I'm a firm believer in you don't change things that's working. And right now, for the last 2 games, we've stopped the run. We've done a pretty good job at it anyway. And I don't think you mess with that formula. I think now you start playing around with your secondary back there with how do you move those guys around, to complement the way Benford's playing, what we do with our safeties back there with Poyer and 24, and his name Bishop, the way he's playing, man, he's been playing awesome too. So, a lot of times it's just getting the right combination of players out there together to gel that play well together, whether you think they're the best or not the best. How do they play on Sunday together? Are they playing well enough to win those ball games? And Cincinnati Bengals are a pretty good football team. And people can say what they want, but they're a pretty good football team, especially offensive side of the ball. So, I think they're starting to find the right keys and formulas. And what's scary is, are they just going to automatically, when people are healthy, strip that away? And I guess we'll find out real soon, though. I mean, if we can't stop the run when they make changes, then you better go back to what was working.
Right.
So, people earn their rights to start and play. And just because you get injured, I'm not saying you necessarily can't come back in, but I don't think you mess with success. And, I'm not sure how that's going to work. That's what they get paid the big bucks, those coaches, to make those decisions.
Yeah, you got a broad shoulders.
It don't cost me a thing to give you my opinion.
Right. With that all being said,
Here we go, folks. We're in overtime.
All right, we are in overtime. We'll make this a tight couple minutes here, guys. We like to give our X factor, so it's not necessarily the keys to success, but that one thing that will make the difference. And in doing so, throw out your score predictions. I'll get you guys in the comments. Vegas has it at a 1.5 right now for the Patriots. And we all know that you get 3 points automatically for playing at home. So that means we're giving 1.5 to the Bills if you want to calculate it that way. Jared, I'll start with you. Give us your X factor. What's the one thing that the Bills need to do to win, and your score prediction?
I'm going to take it right from what Brad said earlier. Keep the mistakes to a minimum. 0 turnovers, low penalties, and I think our Buffalo Bills offense and defense will be successful. If I'm going to put it on one side of the ball, I think Allen needs to keep playing Josh Allen football, keep moving the ball down the field and spreading it all over the place. And I think last game you saw an 80% almost completion rate for Josh Allen. If he can continue that, the Bills will win this game by more than 2 scores. I think the score is going to be 31-17.
Oh, boy. Brad?
Oh boy. I think my going out there, not even going offensive. I think our special teams could be a huge key in this game. On one side or the other. So hopefully our special teams will take a step up. Maybe we'll get a Davis or one of those guys run one back for us on the kickoff
Like it.
return. But I think that would be, to me, is an X factor in this game for us to do that. I think the score is going to be kind of like it was here with Cincinnati. I'm thinking, Buffalo 31 and the Patriots 28.
Well, I'm going to show you my notes. 31-28. I have that score as well. We're playing at the Patriots. It's going to be a tough matchup. I think we do just enough to come out with this victory. We got a long road ahead of us to win this AFC East, but I think we start off by beating these guys by 3 points. I think both teams are pretty healthy, so it'll be a fun game to watch. My X factor is going along with both you guys. It's the turnovers, it's handling playing away, and it's just mistake-free football, penalties included. You win those parts of the battle there, Josh, and the Bills defense, and you also go ahead and figure out how to get through this noise, and let's win an away game against the AFC East. Let's do it. 31-28. Beautiful.
Let's make sure we have the ball the last drive.
Yes. Holy cow. Again, that is the K-Gun Report. That's how we do things here. Brad, I want to express my gratitude for you coming on. Jared said it's your 4th show. We love having you on here. Your insight is amazing. We love that you're a family man and all that stuff. Have the happiest of holidays. I know you had a great Thanksgiving. Have a Merry Christmas. And thanks for joining us. Jared will give you a text message when we want you on again. What are you doing next week?
Yeah, I'm free. Always free for you guys.
All right. We're going to give a quick final thought, and then we'll get ourselves out of here. Jared, what's your final thought for today, brother?
Yeah, the NFL season, we have 17 games to cheer for. We get one a week, and when we lose, it's kind of miserable, but when we win, we just run with it. One game at a time. It's a long season. Enjoy every moment that you can. The Bills are winning. We're 9-4. Looking for a playoff spot. Just keep that positive vibe going. We were down by 10 points, 11 points with 7 minutes to go. We're at the bar and people are giving up. I'm like, hey, we still got Josh Allen. Just believe. And stuff started to fall in our place. So it's going to be a tough road. What way would you rather have it than trying to get into the playoffs? It's fun. We got an AFC East rivalry coming up. Let's show these New England Patriots what this hot Buffalo Bills team can do to a team. I got a bold prediction. Allen's going to go over 300 yards passing with 4 touchdowns this game. Mark it. Enjoy the game. We'll see you next Tuesday. Sunday session is going to be 11:30 next week before the game. Can't wait to watch that, to catch up on inactives and actives. Brad, always awesome to have you on. I love talking football with you. Again, like Scott said, family man. You got how many grandkids now? 6?
I got 5. I got 2 more on the way.
2 more on the way, man. Congratulations. I know.
Thank you.
My parents are happy with their grandbabies, and my wife's parents are too, and there's nothing more like them. So enjoy the time you have with those babies. I know my parents do, and it's awesome. Congratulations. Until next time. Yeah, what are you doing next week? Go Bills.
All right, Brady, you got a final thought, bro? Go Bills.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, what a crazy football year, though, it's been. I've been sitting here thinking about who would have thought that there's a good chance that Kansas City Chiefs won't even be in the playoffs. Who would have thought New England at the bottom of the barrel last year would be rising at the top this year, along with the Jaguars. New Denver was coming around, so that's not a big shot. But it's just been one crazy football year, but I'm very happy to be a Bills Mafia man. I'm very happy with the man, Josh Allen, leading our team and the Buffalo Bills. And, like we said, even though they give us heart attacks, man, I wouldn't want to trade it for another team for anything in the world or this fan base. So I love y'all and appreciate always being on here. And you guys keep up the good work.
Thanks, Brad. K-Gun Report every Tuesday at 8:30, like Jared said. Sunday sessions, an hour and a half. The official pregame show of the Bills Mafia will be on at 11:30. Until then, guys, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk tell Jack to go and fetch your bank. Try that in upstate, boy, it's a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run.